but just the whole thing. But just for the audience,
yeah.
take them through their whole situation.
The best version of the story I heard, because I love this one, is that I went over to Kirkies and I got like, I guess if they clip this out, they can say, "Oh, see, he admitted, right?"
Yeah.
But whatever, social media. But literally, they was like, "Boy, Renbert, you go on over to Kirky and you get 2 NSC and you pop them." He was like, "Ah!" And then you come back to campus and you was like, "Boy, F this and F that and F this and all this, right?" And then they record you, boy, because you was cursing a lot. And then they say, "Boy, security is trying to deal with you," and you run to the library like, "I can tell everybody, you can touch me." Baby, and I heard that story and all my depression, I laughed hard. I was crying. Because I was like, but that's a way better story than the truth.
Yeah, because from the angle, it was like, bro, students, like, I guess it will be blah, blah, blah.
And shout out to a lot of people who are active in it, but like, there's so much players on that night and on my life. So much people for the story. I actually wrote a book called How to Stomp a Rat. Only 5 people, like Miss Blackwell, Nastro, Ernie, a good friend, Deandra Cartwright. A few people actually read it, but I can't publish it. I can't put it out there. It conflicts with my current job, right? But
would this be like a later release?
It was like a comedy. Remember when I used to do comics on campus with Mickey the Rat?
Yeah. Right.
So the comics was ways of me letting out some of that steam about all the stuff I learned, and now that I'm president. And this side is like, people have sit in this position and allowed this to go on and nobody's speaking up. Now, I also had learned to tailor down some of my passion. So the comics became a release. So on the night of, that day was so funny. So I can't never say where I was before. I can say it now. The time didn't go on. So I actually had class before the whole thing.
Okay.
So imagine I went to class. That day was my birthday. There's 4 things that impacted my case. One, there was a campus party, pajama party, that a next student was throwing that had pictures of vaginas on their flyer. So
what?
that was all over campus. So I had to go to an early morning meeting with security and student affairs, and everybody asked the question, why? Because I had class off property somewhere too for my internship at St. Andrews. But when I came back, there's like this whole issue, and I saw the emails. Renbert, the flyers are everywhere, and they want to know how the flyers got up and who put these flyers up with the vagina. And they saying it's our pajama party because we were throwing a pajama party too. So imagine the whole day they arguing about pajama party. When I come on campus, I am wearing pajamas. So they was like, "This your party?" And I was like, "No, it's not. I know the student who put this up. They came to me asking for Cobus to assist." I said, "Hell no." You know what? He put no pictures like that. And honestly, I know you. I know what you're trying to do with this party. I want to be a part of that. I already talked to this dude.
So how do you have that type of party on campus?
You got to learn politics. So he was denied from campus. But what he did was he took his $50 prints and he got it anyway. And he put them up throughout campus that night.
No, but you say the party was on campus?
Yeah.
His party?
His party, he wanted to throw it in the sub, and he couldn't because we were throwing a party in the sub.
So when he had his party,
he was promoting it to have it somewhere else. It didn't matter. The whole thing is he wanted people to come to his party.
Okay.
So this is important because all this literally paid into my court case, right? So I dealt with that the night before. I was like, dude, ain't nobody subordinate, stop it, right? So before I came on campus, they had created the story that I am throwing the party. That's my party, and that the flyers everywhere. So they came to me. At the time, what her name is, Jillian Gray? Yeah. She was my PR assistant, right?
Yeah.
And Jillian came to me and it was Peter Mitchell. And they was like, "Oh, what we could do with these flyers?" Now, at this point in my leadership, I'm stressed and I'm very direct and also a little bit of I'll say, arrogant a-hole, right? So literally, I'm a smarty some days. And that was one of the days I chose to be it. Because it's the day before my birthday. I was like, well, you're stressing me.
Right.
So I literally was like, hey, if there are flyers everywhere, and they're not stamped by the university, means that we didn't approve of, why don't we just take them down? And I walked off. Boy, I would regret doing that. So some people took that as, sorry for calling Jillian name and all that, but she was, I ain't supposed to call people names, but it's too late. Like the story already out there, right? So that was the first thing that happened. And at the same time, one of my boys came to give me a bottle of wine. Again, an important factor in my game. So the bottle of wine touched my hand.
2 Hennessy's.
I was literally suspended for 10 months because by UB's rules and regulations, if you are caught in possession of alcohol, you are suspended. If students do that, right? If you just caught with possession of alcohol, you don't have to drink it. Just because it was an identifiable bottle of wine. And then, of course, 2 people verified that they saw me with this bottle of wine. That is the foundations of why I got suspended. It had nothing to do with drinking.
Okay.
Now, they could suggest that I drank it and I had added to it. But then my counter argument to that when I went into council was, so I drank it in class, because what y'all need to understand is I had a 2-hour class before this. So in between the class and that was a 10-minute break where I went up to the sub, right? And I looked around and none of my friends was there. So it's my day before my birthday. I have friends, you know, people who I could trust. Nobody in the sub. It's only 2 people, Lakeisha Cartwright, April, Frank. Anyway. It's saying the answer.
Right.
So literally, and I could still remember it, but I was singing gospel songs with them. So I was a choir boy. And next thing you know, security bus in. And there was a higher end letter that was sent. I was CC'd in it, stating that there are no events on campus. And I told security, I know. Let's go back in time. 2 o'clock during the 2 to 4 break, I embarrassed myself and became the most hated person on campus.
Why?
Security had me go on stage from 2 to 4 and announced that there'd be no events on campus that night. Again, the person being accused of throwing party at 2 o'clock on record in front of 100 students canceled all parties on property. So how y'all could accuse me of throwing parties if y'all told me at 2 o'clock by demand of security and the president to cancel all parties on campus?
Right.
And the students, of course, booed me and say, but you dead, but what kind of president are you working for?
Yeah.
All this on the day before my birthday.
Right.
So I took blame for all the cancellations of parties. Now I was being accused of throwing a party. And once again, I'm in the a-hole mode, right? So when security busts in and say, but you throwing a party, I was like, but that's an off the chains party. No people.
Man.
No DJ. No nothing. What party I throwing? Honestly, I still remember, it's like, at that point, all my stress, it was like a snap in my head. I was like, this is the one time I know I'm not wrong.
Right.
There's no way this could get
very
worse.
sure.
I am very sure.
So they was trying to escort you off a campus?
They did. They escorted me out the sub, and I literally took my key out my pocket, turned the key, and said, anyway, I can see y'all later. They was like, we just tell you don't go back in the sub. I said, but it don't make sense, though. I have a key to the building. Like, I could come back, and also I leave my car keys. They didn't want to hear that. So they say, oh, you being this and that. So there was an altercation. And literally, I had 19 witnesses to say what really happened. And this is how much, but as a Christian God-fearing man, we was at literally a conference for a Baptist church. My mom's car is where the 19 testimonies of what really happened that night was. Why is it with a parking lot with a policeman circling all through the night, the only car that got broken was my mom's car that day? And why is it the only thing that was stolen? This is facts, but let me tell you this. The only thing that was ever stolen from my car was my 19 testimonies. That was already what the stamp is, by the JP. The whatever it is.
Yeah, right. Seal and approval.
The seal
already done, waiting for my court case. I'm confident that the truth will come out. The one thing I had 19 testimonies, and 5 of the people were people who were already on disciplinary actions who tell me live, but remember, I can't even help you with because security could pull my file. But the things I learned through that incident made me into the man I am. When I saw all these moving parts and how the world really is work, I never was aware of. I never knew this dark side of life. I was a Christian all my life, but so going back to it, when I went back to the security, did I ever cuss that night? Yes, I'll admit it. I'm a Christian. The one time I cussed that night was in a room with security when I was frustrated, telling them how tired I am of all this ass word, right? Everything I get accused of, I literally obeying everybody all day. I just come from class and it's my pre-birthday.
So how you got in the library from this whole...
That's because I was pushed. So when the security pushed me, I told them I'm going to go to the library and write a report to send to your superiors. So only people who was in the library, which is a part of my testimonies, know that when I came in there, I was sitting by a computer typing. I was typing an angry letter, boy. And then I asked the students as their president, can I talk? And so I began to talk and I began to cool down and vent. And while I vent is when the security and the police came. They escalated it again. I had already calmed down, boy. I was telling speeches, Maya Angelou's different things, how we need to stand up and, boy, a lot of these things we can solve ourselves. We don't even need Cobus, boy. We could become change. I was just talking, literally being an inspirational speaker. Next thing you know, security there telling me they need to escort me. I asked them what I do. Well, you don't really do nothing. We just need you to come outside. I said, well, can I finish talking to the students? No, you bothering them. I asked the students, am I bothering you all?
Right.
They said no.
Yeah.
So I continued talking. I could show you how much of the truth I could share this. I only share this story when I'm paid, but literally, QC paid me well, different people. When I'm paid to be an inspirational speaker on stage, going to prisons, it's the only time I tell the truth. That was the most scary and embarrassing night of my life. Because I was being surrounded by policemen who were telling me I do something. And I know I ain't do nothing but
Hey,
to make
so
it like
why?
literally they telling me, but you acting like this out of your character, you must be drunk. I said, oh my God, literally, and it started playing in my mind on the recording. I said it. So what y'all could tell people that I went with my girl and drank wine. This is why me and my girl fighting on. My girl was like, nigga, I ain't saw you that day. How my name getting the story? I said, I was talking about a scenario that I know they's gonna do. I was telling y'all what they gonna do. They could tell y'all I drunk to explain all this. At that time, I think that was the most radical point in my life. And I just felt like, literally, I went from this point of trying to get a master's, PhD one day, become smart.
I feel like that moment changed you to
It
the
did.
artist.
That's why I became an artist. I realized all this, even though I'm doing my master's now, all this, let me get smarter and let me articulate it, let me write. When you look at the changes of the world, the people who really making change, they ain't doing all that.
No, they
They just do
maintaining
it.
the status quo.
They just do it.
Yeah.
They just do it. I give you a bad example. As much as people want to talk about Kanye West, he did stuff.
Yeah.
He has done stuff that resulted in changes, whether good or bad. He's done stuff. Even leadership styles, right? Hitler was a leader. His form of leadership style people don't like because of what it stands for, but he still was able to lead thousands of people.
Yeah.
He was a leader. We don't talk about leadership style in him because people say, no, we get.
Because the end product.
But think
is
about
what
how
just-
effective his leadership was, though.
Yeah, his leadership style has been copied numerous times since then. It's just
So I was studying these stuff and learning. I was becoming smarter, being from a dumb child who couldn't read to now appreciating knowledge. And at that night just became a click where the next side of myself that I was neglecting. So I stopped drawing. I wasn't doing caricatures. I wasn't doing animation. I had given up on art to get smart and get a degree. And that night literally was the night where the persona of Wayne Head was born. Literally, Wayne Head carried me for about 6 years in depression. That became my shield.
so because how I think after this moment, obviously your name sort of carries this stigma, but how did you go about sort of rebranding into
But
who you are now?
it's not good that the first thing that comes up when people go get your name is a court case. Firstly, I couldn't find a job.
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything easier. Though I was not giving any of the charges. I didn't never get charged, none on my police record.
Right.
It's still factual that there was a public
Right.
exercise that anybody could find or they could recall or they could recognize me. So imagine going to Shell and shaking because you don't know if you can get this job. Me, Mr. Super Confident, Cobus president, all these accolades, junior achievement, letters from the governor general, you name it, I had it, right? And I couldn't even get a job at Shell. But
Man.
Wow.
so my whole confidence went. And literally it was only because of literal counsel. I had 2 counselors who I still work with to this day at UB who saved my life. And I met about 5 students who put light back in me. But I met students like how you bringing up how I met you. I met a girl on campus. And at this time, that's where the delusion of like love even started to get massive for me. I couldn't tell if somebody liked me, loved me, or what they into because everything just felt weird. But
Yeah.
so I met a girl on campus who was just like, I tired of saying, like, she stopped me one day, and when I say down, a part of my regulation is I couldn't stay on campus 2 hours after my class. Else security would escort me off.
You talking about when you came back?
Oh, when
after
I came
10?
back after my suspension, I
Yeah.
couldn't join a club. If I joined the club, I'm suspended again. If I'm seen on campus or at an event and security sees me and tell me to leave and I don't leave, I'm suspended again. If I'm too active on campus or in leadership position, I'm suspended again. My last semester when I got my highest GPA ever, which is the 3.8, is the most depression I have had in my life. Literally, one time I was in a class, my lawyer called and said this and that about my court case and say, okay, I know y'all pay us a bunch of money, but I figure it out. Just go up there and plead guilty. And I burst out crying. I said, boy, we didn't give all this money, all my savings.
No,
all this,
boy.
and all you telling me is just all I had to do is
No,
plead
boy.
guilty and I would have been in a better position. Like this almost 10 months into my court case, but I was crying almost every day. I went through suicidal tendencies from my second day after coming from my court case. Because you got to remember, I got put with 6 charges. I got in the courtroom. They open up the courtroom. It's like 6:00 at night. They already closed. They open it to give me my 6 charges.
Hold on. So this event, I
went to actual court, but like,
no.
Yeah.
But when the night of this incident, I was thinking this happened like around 9, 10 o'clock.
it was about 2 days of occur. Like it happened 9, 10 o'clock. I went that night to the jail cell, right? At with that on the one on Blue Hill Road, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I stayed there for about 2 hours. A lot of politicians showed up. A lot of people questioned. A lot of my uncles was police. A lot of people showed up. But I stayed there. I have these marks on my hand to remind me. So I actually put my hand in piss that night. So in the video, you saw me holding on a piece of wire when they were dragging me.
Yeah.
That sliced my hand right here and here. So when I went to the jail cell, my stupid had never been to jail. Didn't know you was going to touch things. So the guy was sitting, he was laying on the bench. So I couldn't be on the bench. I had to go on the floor. So I literally put my hand in piss for about 10 minutes. So this whole thing was infected. The next day they had to carry me to the hospital. Before my court case, when I got the charges, they had to carry me to the hospital first. And also the police are very friendly. They gave me KFC. They cracked jokes with me. They made me feel like I ain't do nothing. Little did I know that there was this whole thing happening on the media, social media. My mom had done a press conference, people saying stuff. And there was a decision made that this boy have to get these charges. And I say boy because that's how I was treated. So all the smiling up, all the buying KFC cracking jokes with the police officers. I even saw one of my uncles say, "Hey, uncle, everything cool?" Like, he said, "Boy, you look like you going to court." I said, "Yeah," but they say straight. He said, "Boy, you better find you a good lawyer."
Man.
And I was like, I wasn't catching on. I literally was still naive. I wasn't catching on that, boy, these dudes are on a path of ruining my life. And they don't see it. They don't see the leader. They don't see a potential artist. They don't see the guy who's a church, a Christian all life. All they seeing is troublemaker.
Radical.
You need to go to
He's radical.
But the reality, although I didn't get to go because I have a good fighting mother, my mommy fought. She literally found a lawyer who did us a favor and showed up, so I didn't have to go to Princess. So not Princess, the Fox Hill. Dude, my reality is that weekend I was supposed to be in Fox Hill.
Wow.
Like y'all take this little thing and say the resolution is let's put them around on the criminals.
Yeah, but they didn't make that big for you. I remember that.
So the funniest part is after I did it, only my friends showed up to the jail cell. I went back on campus on Monday to get my keys out the same office because the original reason why I was going in the sub is to get my keys for my car.
Right.
My car stayed at the weekend. And when I was going to get my keys after being let out the jail, not the jail cell, after getting out the court, doing all the stupidness. To this day, when people say, "Babe, why you wear your pants so loose or why you wear pajamas?" It's because I still battling psychological damage. My uncle took my pants and rang it up and put my belt all the way up to my stomach. And I was like, all my life I was responsible and I never had to do this garbage. He said, "Yeah, but you going before the court and they can paint a picture of you and you can't look like a..." So to this day, I wear my pants low. You know why?
Mr. Rebellion.
Yes. All that stuff about jail and all that. No, I wear my pants low because I have freedom, boy. Why my uncle had to pull up my pants and say, "Here, take my belt." To this day, I don't wear no belts, boy. Y'all cost this. Because I really ain't do nothing. But let me work on God's side, right? So
No, I just want a quick question. Because basically I just looking at myself in that situation, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I looking at myself in that situation. That would be my villain origin story. Like that would make me like
That's
go dark. Like
that's what it was, man.
you know.
Like I say, that's my Batman. I traveled the world. I've been to 6 different states for free. I competed internationally. I got accreditations. I have good business relationships. I rework my whole persona.
Man, I noticed because I was watching from afar.
Yeah.
Because it was like when I saw you become an artist, you had started like you wasn't the primp and proper person I saw. It was like I'm more an artist, free flowing.
Exactly.
You know,
I wear pajamas and a Rugrat shirt. All of this is because I worked hard. It doesn't have anything to do with me being a PR of UB. I'm also supposed to be connecting with students. I also am a person who tells people, I even said it in staff meeting recently, I think we are smart enough to convince politicians as the University of the Bahamas that suits are the dumbest thing to wear in our culture.
I think they have their time and place.
I don't know how people didn't catch on to that.
No. Africa. Design clothes to suit their culture.
Right.
We are wearing suits. Sweating, walking from place to place. Why?
Colonialism, bro.
Hot.
That's really what it is.
So, I mean, I share my story and thank you for listening, but I share the story because it's my truth, boy. Like, I stay quiet and I smile and I crack jokes and draw a character just because that's what I'm paid to do. That's what I need to do. But inside, like, I go to prison. I go to programs. It's me and the principal for PACE right now. We're working on a male-oriented program because the program is called Providing Access to Continued Education. It's never pregnancy girls' school. So we're building a program to mentor the fathers of the girls. Right? The passion that God put in me, and he answered a prayer. I'll end with this. The prayer I prayed.
No, I mean, we still got a couple of things.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
The prayer I prayed one of my nights when I was trying to hang in. I was hanging with my friends, and I always talk about this on stage. I literally watch my friends walk. This is like right there by the police station on Bay Street. They walk in the McDonald's. And in the parking lot, I had like 2 Heineken in my hand, right? But I fall back, and I literally remember falling on my knees, boy. And I cried, and I was like, God, I feel lost. And I did a prayer, and I break the 2 bottles on the ground. And I was crying, and then my boy come and he's like, but you okay? I said, yeah, but it's like a moment in my life stopped, and I addressed how lost I was as a Christian. And I believe he answered my prayer. I said I wanted to connect with males more. I want to understand what men going through. Do it. I can end with this. My cellmate tell me I cool. And if I wasn't cool, because I was a big dude, he was going to stab me with these 2 rusty nails. Then the crazy nigga in the back, who's in the back of the cell the whole time, it's like... But that's where you all put me, boy?
No. That's crazy.